All right, so let's go ahead and just dive right in. So my presentation is called Molecular Hydrogen and Oxidative Stress, the Basics. And today we're just going to go through and understand the foundational principles around oxidation and oxidative stress and how hydrogen can combat oxidative stress. And so let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and push the button. All right, so she already kind of did this for me, so I guess I'll do this briefly. This is my introduction here. As she said, so my name is Tywon Hubbard. I'm the owner and CEO of H2 Hub, and I'm the creator of H2 Minutes. And in a nutshell, my hydrogen company, H2 Hub, tests and improve hydrogen products against performance standards that are based on human studies. And we basically try to help individuals navigate the market. We also do H2 consulting, and we also do H2 education. And then, and then my YouTube channel, H2 Minutes, is a free educational series on YouTube about H2, all things hydrogen. And I also teach about the related sciences that are basically around hydrogen therapy. And we also debunk myths. And so those are always fun videos. People either enjoy or don't enjoy getting myths debunked. But yes, that's basically what I do in a nutshell, and I help people every day with H2. All right, so our basic topics that we're gonna be covering is gonna be basically a introduction to oxidation and reduction, the causes of oxidation in the body, the dual role of free radicals, and we'll kind of break down what a free radical is, the body's defense systems against oxidative stress, understanding what oxidative stress is, and then we're going to get a little bit into the introduction of hydrogen. So you guys should all be familiar with some of this, but I think I'll give you some cool little tidbits of new information around H2 you might not know about. And then we're going to talk about the molecular mechanisms of how hydrogen can actually reduce oxidative stress, or what we discovered so far. And then H2's impact on health and disease, just some of hydrogen's therapeutic potential. And then we'll be done. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. Okay, so basis of oxidation and reduction. And so oxidation is a process in which atoms or molecules lose electrons. This often is observed in processes like rusting, oxidized apples, cellular respiration, or how we produce energy. And this even takes place in the aluminum vitae H2 water bottle. And so an easy way to remember what oxidation is uh, is basically the acronym OIL, which stands for oxidation is loss, and that is loss of electrons. And so you really cannot talk about oxidation without also equally talking about reduction. And basically, reduction is the gaining of electrons by an atom or a molecule. And this occurs in various biological processes, including photosynthesis. And this also takes place in the aluminum vitae H2 water bottle. And this is how the bottle actually ends up producing hydrogen gas. And that takes place with redox reactions. And so that's basically what's happening within the bottle. And this is also happens within our bodies. And so you really can't have oxidation without reduction, or reduction without oxidation. They both happen simultaneously. And these reactions are fundamental for energy production and cellular function. And so it's just really critical to understand this principle if you're going to be talking about oxidative stress. And then lastly, I wanted to cover just the cellular redox status or state of a cell. And basically, in a nutshell, this is the kind of critical balance between oxidants and reductants, or free radicals and antioxidants within a cell. And this critical balance is paramount for maintaining cellular health, as well as preventing oxidative damage to the body. So one cool little easy way to show oxidation, something I would do with my kids, is basically what you have on here on the screen, is when you chop an apple in half and you leave it on the countertop for about 10-15 minutes, and you'll see it start turning brown. What you're actually seeing is the process of oxidation. Basically the apple is losing electrons, and is being oxidized and degraded. And so this also takes place in our bodies. Yeah, our bodies are pretty fancy with it. So there's ways, there's systems that we have in place to combat this oxidation. So what are some common causes of oxidation in the body? This is not going to be an exhaustive list, but I'll give you a couple different sources of what causes oxidation in the body, and we have internal sources and external sources. So we'll just start with the internal sources. So first and foremost would be the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of our cells. And so basically it produces ATP. The sorry, the energy currency of the cell, and 2 to 4% of the oxygen consumed by the mitochondria become basically free radicals or pro-oxidants or oxidants, oxidative molecules. And these oxidative molecules can go on to induce oxidation. We also have inflammation, or basically the body's immune response. And so inflammation can cause oxidation, but it's pretty interesting that oxidation can also cause inflammation. And so it can be quite a vicious cycle. And so inflammation is absolutely critical and needed for our health, but obviously when it gets out of hand, there can be problems. And then we have exercise, or physical activity or exertion. Physical activity causes oxidation within the body. You're going to be breathing more oxygen. Oxygen is an oxidizer, and you're going to be experiencing more energy. So you're going to be consuming more oxygen, you're going to be producing more free radicals, and this can actually cause oxidation in the body. And then we have injuries or damage to the body, and that's pretty self-explanatory how it can cause oxidation. As for some external sources, these are things like basically, exposure to pollutants, pesticides, industrial chemicals, radiation, household chemicals, etc. And then you have unhealthy lifestyle choices like smoking or excessive alcohol consumption or drug use. And then there's chronic stress that can actually cause oxidation in the body, whether it's psychological or physiological stress. And so this is why it's always good to practice healthy relationships with people. Make sure that you're reducing stress in your life. And then poor diet, diets that are low in antioxidants, low in fiber, high in fats, sugars, and processed foods also cause oxidation in the body. And no matter what sources we are looking at here, these all basically give rise to elevated levels of free radicals. And so what is a free radical? So a free radical is a reactive atom or molecule that has an unpaired electron that can damage cells, protein, and DNA by altering their chemical structure. And so, in a nutshell, if I was explaining this to my kid, I would say it's a molecule that don't like to play nice with others. And so, yeah, so basically it says my toy, and so it takes it. And so it takes it from the other kid. Uh, so yeah, so free radicals are the things that end up oxidizing the body. And so we have to deal with them. We have to deal with them in some way or another. So that would lead people to believe that free radicals are all bad. And this is typically what is popularized online and different things. The idea that free radicals are bad, if we deal with free radicals and we reduce them, then therefore we're going to have less oxidation. So therefore we won't have any health issues. And unfortunately, this is a misconception. As my title of my slide says, free radicals, friend or foe. Truly, it's both. They are our friend and they can be our foes. And so a free radical that are in the body basically free radicals that are in the body are referred to as reactive oxygen species or reactive nitrogen species. And like I said in my previous slide, they cause cellular damage by attacking DNA, protein, and lipids. And here's just a little brief list of some common free radicals that are in the body. Some of them you might know of or you might have heard of. So we have, I'll just name off a few. So we have oxygen on there. We also have hydrogen peroxide. That's a common known free radical. And then we also have peroxynitrate, we have hypochlorous acid, or we have hypochlorite. So basically hypochlorite is basically bleach. Sodium hypochlorite is bleach, but our bodies also produce hypochlorite. And so it can be useful as a oxidative molecule for, basically attacking pathogens and things like that, bacteria. And so these are just common free radicals that are generated within cells. And I have a little molecule here, and you can actually see that it's missing an electron in its outer valency shell. And so certain free radicals, especially due to their reactivity, they will do an awful lot to fill this little spot. And they'll take electrons from anywhere, like I said, from proteins, from other molecules, from fats, etc. But as you see over here, I have my little diagram, and you'll see the big circle is free radicals. But basically what you see within that circle is that free radicals have beneficial effects, there's harmful effects, and then there's just the dual role of free radicals in our body. And so definitely want to dispel the notion that free radicals are all bad. There are needed processes in the body that cannot happen without free radicals. So one of them would be cellular communication. We also have the immune response, or vasodilation, or blood flow, proper inflammation, and then the activation of critical and needed genes that the cell needs to be to basically to survive, or to be optimized. And then we also have harmful effects for free radicals. So when free radicals get out of hand or get too elevated in the body, it can induce oxidative stress, which can go on to cause cellular and tissue damage, and which can also go on to cause disease and disorders. So we see here that free radicals actually play a dual role in the body, and that they contribute to both beneficial and both negative processes in the body. So how does the body actually deal with free radicals? Well, one big way that is popularized online is antioxidants, and antioxidants are great. We need them. They are fantastic, and they are one of the key ways our body actually deals with oxidation. And so a conventional antioxidant neutralizes free radicals by donating electrons, preventing cellular damage, um, um, and preventing basically cellular damage. They 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 achieve this through their conjugated PI system, which allows them to stabilize free radicals without becoming overly reactive, contributing to anti-inflammatory, anti-aging, and anti-degeneration effects. And so, in a nutshell, these antioxidants can basically donate electrons and not become overly reactive or oxidative themselves. And so therefore they can neutralize free radicals without necessarily causing more harm. And we actually have internal sources and external sources, or endogenous and exogenous sources of antioxidants. So some of the popular endogenous or naturally producing antioxidants that our body produces: glutathione, catalase, superoxide dismutase, hemooxidase. These are very, very powerful antioxidants that our body uses to reduce oxidation. And then you also know basically about these other antioxidants that we get through our diet or our food, which would be vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E, and then basically polyphenol antioxidants, things that are found like in blueberries. And so our bodies utilize these antioxidants to benefit us and reduce oxidation. And so you would think that since antioxidants are so good, maybe there's no way that they can harm us. Well, unfortunately, that's not what research is actually suggesting or saying. And so I have a slide here that actually is basically titled Antioxidant Supplements. And this article is referenced Antioxidant Supplements and Mortality. And I'm going to read the quote for us. It says, antioxidant supplements do not possess preventative effects and may be harmful with unwanted consequences to our health, especially in well-nourished populations. The optimal source of antioxidants seems to come from our diet, not from antioxidant supplements in pills or tablets. And so something to keep in mind here is that that idea that I was saying, that free radicals are bad and antioxidants are just totally good, that we can just basically consume a ton of antioxidants and that's the way forward. Actually, it's been shown that that's not technically the most beneficial way of actually benefiting our bodies. And this is because those free radicals that we're talking about actually have a critical like a critical place or part to play in the body, or in critical part to play in the body, and like within our cells. And so something about traditional antioxidants is that they can be indiscriminate. They can neutralize free radicals. They can neutralize free radicals, whether or not it's good for the cell or not. They're going to continue to do their function, whether or not it's actually going to help the cell or not. And so this leads us to the notion of maybe while antioxidants are beneficial and actually needed, we might actually be need to investigate if there is antioxidants that are selective, or that can actually play nice with free radicals. And this leads us to hydrogen gas. And so I'm gonna have a couple slides here of some research. And I think the quotes is gonna do it more justice than what I could just say to you guys. But basically this says antioxidant supplements versus H2. And so let's go ahead and read these, and I might provide a little bit of feedback. And so it says, here it says the sorry, my stuttering is getting me. The antioxidant advantages of H2 gas included its high biomembrane penetration and intracellular diffusion capability, which enables it to reach subcellular compartments like mitochondria, and two, selective scavenging of deleterious hydroxyl radical while preserving other important reactive oxygen and nitrogen species for normal signaling regulation. It is superior to some antioxidant supplements with strong reductive activity, such as vitamin C or vitamin E, to avoid the increased risk of mortality. So what we see here is that hydrogen is basically able to get into places maybe other antioxidants cannot. Hydrogen is selective, meaning it is targeting basically the most damaging free radical in existence or in our body. It serves as no function. It basically reduces that, but then it doesn't actually reduce beneficial free radicals that are needed for like beneficial processes within our cells. And we even have articles that actually suggest hydrogen, in particular disease models, can outperform vitamin C and vitamin E. And so this is quite impressive. Let's see what this article has to say. Ingestion of H2 water can eliminate ROS and confer anti-tumor activity. It represents a novel method of H2 administration and has greater advantages over other forms of antioxidant therapy. And this one says most hydrophilic antioxidants cannot penetrate biomembranes, but remain on the membrane surface, whereas H2 distributes rapidly into lipids and cytosol, and has no cytotoxicity, even at high concentrations. And so, like, I really want to unpack this one just a tidbit, so you understand how important this is. So, hydrophilic antioxidant will be antioxidants that are water loving. They dissolve well into water, but they do not play nice with fats, right? And so our biomembrane, or our like phospholipid bilayer of our cells, are made of fats. So they have to be able to get through that. And so they get hung up on it. And so we need special transporters and things like that to bring them into the cell. Well, hydrogen, since it's the smallest molecule in the universe, since it is a nonpolar, and so it doesn't have any, it's basically neutral in its charge. It diffuses right through the actual biomembranes of our cells, diffuse right through it and dissolves into the cytosol, which is made of water. So it dissolves well in the water. I mean, like, it dissolves into the water as well. So it can get into the cell and get to where other antioxidants cannot. And something that is really critical is that it has no cytotoxicity, even at high concentrations. So this means at high levels of it, it still doesn't hurt our cells. You can't say this about vitamin C, right? Vitamin C is absolutely amazing, and we need it for our bodies. It serves a ton of different functions for us, but If you actually get really, really high levels of actual vitamin C, let's say you took high levels of vitamin C before a bout of exercise, you can negate the benefits of exercise because it's going to neutralize too many free radicals, and it can actually hurt or damage the cell. And it can actually cause what's called reductive stress, not just oxidative stress. You can have reductive stress, which can be just as damaging. And so this is something that we see with hydrogen, is that even at high levels, it shows no cytotoxicity. It's something really, really special about this H2. This one says, moreover, H2 passes through the blood-brain barrier, although most antioxidant compounds cannot. And so this goes to show about what I was just saying. Hydrogen can get into places where other antioxidants or beneficial cytoprotective molecules cannot. There's no human barrier in the body that hydrogen cannot cross. So this is the blood-brain barrier, the placenta barrier, the testis barrier, the skin barrier, where the lung air gap barrier. Like there's no barrier in the body it cannot get through and be able to mediate or induce its therapeutic effects. And it's pretty remarkable it can get through the blood-brain barrier when most antioxidant compounds cannot do this. So what is oxidative stress? Okay, so by definition, oxidative stress is a physiological stress on the body that is caused by the accumulative damage done by free radicals inadequately neutralized by antioxidants. That's the definition, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to make it simple. Basically, when free radicals get too high within the cell and our antioxidant defense system cannot accommodate for that level of free radicals within the cell or tissues, basically the cell or tissues are basically under arrest or they're under oxidative stress. And so basically oxidative stress can be quite damaging and beyond quite damaging if not handled well. And so some of the basic symptoms, this, like I said, it's not an exhaustive list, but some of the basic symptoms of what someone might feel if they're dealing with oxidative stress would be fatigue, muscle and joint pain, headaches, brain fog, cognitive impairment, memory loss, whether short or long term, decrease in eyesight, digestive issues, and then premature and accelerated aging. These are just common things that are associated with the everyday life of us when we're actually dealing with oxidative stress. And then some of the consequences of chronic or prolonged oxidative stress is that it's been linked to nearly all chronic diseases, including cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disorders, cancer, digestive issues. I mean, you name it. At the foundation of those disorders, you're going to have some form of dysregulation in the redox status of the cell, like I was talking about earlier, cellular redox states. Oxidative damage or oxidative stress is going to have a huge part to play in almost nearly all disease. And this is also something that's being confirmed by research. So as you see the quote here, it says oxidative stress and inflammation are two phenomena that are directly involved in practically all pathologies, especially in aging. So that means if we can effectively and efficiently deal with oxidative stress and reduce it and optimize our bodies, then we can help with a lot of different things when it comes to the human body. All right, so here's a little video of mine. So I made this video. This video was almost made 8 years ago. I've been making hydrogen videos for a long time, y'all. But but I actually talk about basically some of the material that we just went through. And I talk about oxidation, I'll talk about antioxidants, free radicals, and some of this content. And so if you guys want to go watch this video of me talking about this a long time ago, I do it in a little fun and a little quirky way to be able to teach this subject, or you need to share with anyone, feel free to do so because it covers much of the content that we've already just covered. All right, so now we're on to the star of the show. Okay, molecular hydrogen, a novel therapeutic molecule. So first and foremost, I definitely want to say, anytime we're talking about hydrogen, this is just like a pet peeve of mine. So I'm gonna give you guys my pet peeve. So basically, anytime you're talking about molecular hydrogen, I think it's always very, very wise, especially if you're talking with any clients or talking with any prospects or any video or even family members, to clarify what form of hydrogen gas you're talking about, because there are other species of hydrogen. And most time the confusion with our conversation that we have lies in what the people is, or basically of what different forms of hydrogen and basically their properties. So for instance, I've had conversations with individuals where they're like, well, I don't understand hydrogen water because you adding hydrogen to water is going to make it acidic. And so they understand that they basically understand about hydrogen ions or protons, right? You add hydrogen, you're adding acid. So, oh my gosh, you're going to make acidic water. They're like, no, 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 no. We're talking about molecular hydrogen. And so there are distinct forms of hydrogen. And I definitely encourage you all. You all should definitely, I believe you all know about Tyler LeBaron. He's a good friend of mine. And I encourage you all to take the MHI course. I'm MHI certified. I've done that course as well. I've helped Tyler with the course. And so it's a fantastic course. And Tyler takes you through some of these fundamental principles so you can actually best educate people well when it comes to that, because distinguishing between the forms of hydrogen definitely can clear up a lot of confusion for people. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about how hydrogen acts in the body. And so what kind of therapeutic molecule is it? What is its functions? How is it mediating its effects? And so hydrogen gas is basically classified as a gaseous signal or gene modulator, regulating many cellular processes, inducing physiological changes towards homeostasis by modulating or altering gene expression. Thus, hydrogen gas can have a multitude of therapeutic effects. Okay, so that's a whole lot of jargon. I'm gonna simplify it and say hydrogen. So think of it this way: hydrogen is a gas that communicates or transmits signals to cells, and by doing so regulates a myriad of processes within the cell by altering how the cell is actually expressing its genes. So that would be a simplified way of understanding that. And so because of this, hydrogen can have a numerous therapeutic effects, and that's basically been elucidated by the research, including some of these that I have on here, which is hydrogen has antioxidant-like effects, has anti-inflammatory effects, has anti-cellular death effects, has anti-aging effects, anti-fatigue effects, anti-anxiety effects, anti-allergy effects, anti-scarring effects, anti-dementia or dementia effects, anti-stupidity effects. Well, I mean, I like, well, like, I don't know if it can help with stupidity, but like, with basically with this therapeutic potential, it might, it might help us not make silly choices. So anyway, it just has a ton of different potentials or therapeutic potentials. And so we're going to move to our next slide. So did you guys didn't think I was going to shortchange you on the therapeutic effects of hydrogen? I'm going to give you another short list. So this is actually a short list of hydrogen's therapeutic effects that's based on the scientific studies. And so all the list of benefits here have scientific evidence to support them. This does not mean we don't need more scientific evidence. We do. We need more human clinical trials. But until that is done, what we can say is that all these particular benefits have evidence to support them that hydrogen has the potential to induce these effects in humans. And so I was going to just read a few of them, but I think in order for us to really get the impact of what the research is showing, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to read through these really quickly. And I'm gonna help you guys be able to see, or make sure you guys be able to hear every single one of these, because it's pretty impressive list. So hydrogen gas has the potential to accelerate wound healing, to activate and regulate gene stem cells, to act as an exercise mimetic, meaning hydrogen regulates some of the same pathways or has some of the same benefits as exercise. Hydrogen has anti-aging effects, anti-arthritic effects, anti-cancer effects, anti-diabetic effects, anti-heart disease effects, anti-obesity effects, anti-inflammatory effects, antioxidant effects, can decrease lactic acid or lactate levels, can decrease muscle fatigue, enhance the blood-brain barrier function. So it can't just so basically hydrogen gas doesn't just get through the blood-brain barrier, but it can enhance the function of the blood-brain barrier. And actually by tightening up the junctions between the blood-brain barrier, hydrogen can enhance or regulate fluid homeostasis and mitigate dehydration stress. Hydrogen may improve aerobic capacity or lung function, help with autoimmune disease, blood flow or microcirculation, blood pressure, cognitive function, dialysis, erectile dysfunction, fertility, gut dysbiosis, gut flora, long and short distance running performance, can improve metabolism or cellular metabolism, may muscle endurance, muscle function, recovery after strokes, improves the redox status of the cell. When I was just talking about the redox state of a cell, hydrogen is actually regulating the status of the cell. So this is something quite different when it comes to hydrogen gas, because as a conventional antioxidant that neutralizes free radicals, right? You have a free, so basically for like a traditional antioxidant, it might neutralize, like a few free radicals or whatever. But hydrogen is appearing to regulate the actual antioxidant status of the cell, which is far different than just neutralizing a couple bad guys. And so hydrogen has been shown, or basically hydrogen has studies for sleep, improving non-REM sleep, REM sleep, and sleep latency, meaning how fast we fall asleep. Improve eye disorder, psoriasis, skin disorders, ATP production, or basically the energy currency of the cell, increases energy, increases the body's own antioxidants, improves metabolism, mitigates hearing loss, neuroprotective, prevents hangovers, protects the body from sepsis, protects DNA and RNA, protective agent to prevent diseases, promotes mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning it increases the production of mitochondria within the cell. It does this by regulating a pathway called PGC1 alpha. Radioprotective, reduces cholesterol, edema, kidney stone occurrences, reduces pain, acute and chronic, can regulate the endocrine system or hormones such as ghrelin, leptin, adiponectin, fibroblasts, estrogen, testosterone, cortisol, insulin, prolactin, progestin, and then oxytocin, and regulates neurotransmitters such as glutamate, GABA, dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine, and supports the immune system. This is an awesome list of health effects that that basically has scientific evidence to show hydrogen has the therapeutic potential for these effects. That's quite remarkable. In my study of hydrogen gas over the last 10 years and of the human body in this last decade, I haven't found anything that has this type of therapeutic potential, this such wide scope of benefits. And like I said, this is a short list. I could have a list of being 200 different effects. So this is quite remarkable. All right, so here's a video I created a couple years ago called 60 Health Benefits for Hydrogen Gas. And so this is basically like a compilation video or like an overview video of like all of our health benefits videos for hydrogen. And so it gives you a little bit of the taste and flavor of each different health benefit video that we've actually created so far. And so it's kind of like the one-stop shop. If you don't want to watch all my health benefit videos, you want to just get a little bit of what each one's about, definitely tell you guys go check this video out. And you can also share it with others. It is a little bit longer because, like I just said, all those lists of benefits. Hydrogen has a lot of benefits. So anywho, definitely check this video out. All right, so how does H2 reduce oxidative stress? So what are the mechanisms that hydrogen is actually doing to reduce oxidative stress? And so hydrogen is doing this in, it looks like, several ways or multiple ways. So it doesn't just reduce oxidative stress in one way. So one of the ways we already talked about is hydrogen acts as a selective antioxidant. And so hydrogen is selectively targeting the most cytotoxic and cell-damaging free radicals within the cell, such as the hydroxyl radical and peroxynitrate. And basically, both of them are either a ROS, reactive oxygen species, or a reactive nitrogen species. So it's basically targeting the most damaging ROS or reactive nitrogen species. And it reduces those levels, but it does not reduce the levels of beneficial free radicals that we need, like superoxide anion. And it also doesn't perturb or disrupt redox homeostasis, or the redox status of a cell. So this is really, really cool. So we have research that actually shows that hydrogen, I don't even know if we know how it does this yet. But it has the ability to differentiate. So if a cell is under oxidative stress, it can reduce the levels of the hydroxyl radical and peroxynitrate, and it can help the cell come back to a optimal redox status. But if a cell is already at homeostasis, if it's already at is already optimal, hydrogen does not affect the redox status of the cell. It doesn't affect it. And so it's already at homeostasis, so hydrogen doesn't act. This is like pretty crazy, pretty crazy. And so this is one of the ways. And so it's really important to understand this as well, as hydrogen is a mild antioxidant. And so we like to call, well, I would say we, but many people talk about hydrogen being a powerful antioxidant, but its power really lies in its selectivity. That's where its power lies. We really don't want really powerful antioxidants in the sense of like a biological way, which means that it can neutralize a ton of free radicals, has a lot of reductive characteristics, right? And it's going to reduce a lot of different free radicals. Hydrogen doesn't do that. It's actually its weakness or its mildness is what gives it its power, and why it's such a very great and wonderful antioxidant, or can act as an antioxidant. And then like the next way would be direct free radical scavenging. This is unlikely to happen in humans. But hydrogen basically acting like a conventional antioxidant, meaning that it's going to neutralize or directly react with the hydroxyl radical. This is proposed in a lot of different studies. And even some of Tyler's work is actually kind of showing that this might not be the mechanism of how hydrogen is doing this, but it is pretty cool to know about it. And so I put it in here that hydrogen actually, if it reacts with the hydroxyl radical, the most cell damaging free radical there is, it converts it into the life-giving solvent water. So how cool is that? That hydrogen converts this thing that does nothing but hurt us and causes disease. It converts it into water, which is what we absolutely need. But one of the primary reasons why this probably is rare in the human body is because of the low reaction rates or rate constants. So basically, hydrogen's reaction time, how fast it reacts with the hydroxyl radical, is quite slow comparative to other different lipids or different antioxidants or other things like that. And so if it did happen in the body, you're talking about hydrogen, neutralizing, out of 100 hydroxyl radicals, it might be neutralizing a few of them this way. And so this is why researchers are saying this might not be the way hydrogen is doing it. So if hydrogen's not doing it that way, then how is it doing it? Because we clearly see it is improving the redox status of the cell, and we clearly see it as drastically reducing the levels of the hydroxyl radical and peroxynitrate. Well, one of the primary ways that it does it is that hydrogen seems to be preventing oxidative stress in the first place. And so it does this by actually inhibiting or suppressing the reactions that are needed to produce these free radicals. And so basically like the Fenton reaction, or like the Haber-Weiss reaction, or the hydrogen regulating inducible nitric oxide synthase activity. So basically it affecting nitric oxide levels, and basically how that can go on to produce peroxynitrate. So anyway, hydrogen is actually suppressing these reactions, and therefore the cell is generating less hydroxyl radicals, which aids to preventing oxidative stress. And so that's a really cool way that hydrogen seems to be reducing oxidative stress. And then lastly, I'll cover is hydrogen seems to be able to activate the NRF2 pathway. Is also referred to as the NRF-ARE pathway. And the NRF2 pathway is the master regulator for our antioxidant defense system. So through this regulation, through this activation, hydrogen is actually regulating over 250 cytoprotective molecules and antioxidants within the cell, helping to maintain redox homeostasis. And so we see here hydrogen is very unique in its characteristics. It does seem that hydrogen is doing this through regulation more than through direct free radical scavenging, which makes it even all the more cooler for me. Like the complexity of being able to regulate the cell versus just going in and neutralizing a few free radicals. It shows that how hydrogen is doing this is to me it comes off as a more complex way of actually handling more problems that the cell could be going through. And I did not cover every single way. And there are other ways hydrogen can actually reduce oxidative stress. So, for example, in a recent video, I just talked about how hydrogen can benefit basically our gut and our gut flora, our gut microbiome. We actually see that hydrogen can basically increase butyrate and butyrate producing bacteria in our gut, or basically it can increase butyrate production. And butyrate is a short chain fatty acid that has anti-inflammatory effects, anti-cancer effects, and antioxidant effects. And so by increasing this beneficial molecule, it actually goes on to further reduce oxidative stress through what's called basically secondary messengers. So by hydrogen acting on one system, it basically regulates something that basically goes on and it gives the body another beneficial effect. And so it can do it directly, and it's doing it indirectly by regulating other processes in the body. All right. So we're okay. So we're basically at the end of the presentation. So like basically once again, I thank you guys for your time. And I hope you guys learned a thing or two. You can always follow me at my company or even at my YouTube channel. H2 Minutes, and I definitely tell you guys to like and go subscribe and share all those videos. And then also know that H2 Minutes is a free educational platform or a free educational series. So all the funding is done by me or other people who partner with our vision of educating the world about H2. And currently today, H2 Minutes is the largest, most comprehensive educational series on hydrogen therapy in the world. And so definitely, if you guys ever feel the need to support H2 Minutes, you can do so at patreon.com. And then also you can always contact me and learn more about H2 at H2 Hubb. And then, yeah, so that's it. Thank you. You guys.
Incredible. I know there's a couple of questions in the chat. I
Yeah,
don't know
go ahead.
if you want to go ahead and answer them that we have there, but I can tell you that the feedback has been phenomenal. I'm being flooded with messages, not only on the Zoom, but in private messages of how incredible.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. All right, we good?
Yeah. Is there any questions that you guys have for Tywon? He's done such a great job. It was so comprehensive, hey? I mean, who got more inspired about molecular hydrogen and how amazing it is, and how incredible it is that we're able to be in these seats right now? I mean, one question I would have for you, Tywon, is where do you see the market going for molecular hydrogen?
Yeah, no, I definitely think there is a greater awareness that's finally happening. Individuals like myself and Tyler LeBaron have been teaching about it for a long time, and the market always has its ebbs and flow. But it does feel like there is a critical mass that is basically approaching that is needed for basically the awareness that basically for hydrogen to be known more, basically be known more basically throughout by the masses. And so I do feel that's happening. I've seen hydrogen have this ebb and flow a couple times, but this time feels different. And I know Tyler has talked about these things before as well, that about 2017 or something along those lines. We've had this kind of explosion with H2, and then with the science. And it can even stretch back to 2007 2007. But he always talks about how the market is basically like 10 years behind the science. And so, yeah, I put it at like 2027 or so. But I mean, I think it might even come a little earlier. The way the shift is because I do consulting, I do all that kind of stuff. And the amount of individuals I've been able to teach in the last 2 years has been exponentially higher than the years prior. So there's definitely a growing awareness of H2 and basically its therapeutic potential.
Which is incredible because one, it's obviously you can see why it gets the name miracle molecule because it has all of these incredible benefits that are just so profound. And the fact that it almost has this innate knowledge to know what to select or not, that seems you can understand why some people even call it the God molecule for that reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
This
yeah.
this sort
Yeah.
of magical thing that happens with molecular hydrogen, but it's it's
Mhm.
it's really phenomenal and it's so good. And we get to spend a lot of time with Dr. Tyler LeBaron, and I know he says 2027 is when it's really going to hit that critical mass, but I've also got a feeling that it's going to happen a little before that as well. I think we're going to see a big shift happen in 2025, and we'll see it actually
Mhm.
happen in 2026. So it's very exciting. Did
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah, man.
else
That's my hope.
yeah, yeah. And that's really because of individuals like yourself. Yourself where you're just putting out such phenomenal content. I mean, again, I'm watching all my people nodding their heads and they've been so eager and all of them
Yeah.
have been, throughout the presentation. I was looking at all the chat and all of them were just like, this is so amazing. This is so clear. We love how you
Oh,
present.
that's great.
You,
That's great. I'm
you
glad I can make it. I'm glad I can make it simple for you guys and try to share some more insights. And truly what I've shared was only the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that I could talk about when it comes to hydrogen's therapeutic effects and how it's doing what it's doing in the body. At least for what we know today. There's just so many possibilities of how H2 is helping the body.
Amazing. I can see we've already got people saying, can we have round two, please?
Hey,
So you
maybe round
definitely
two,
want
round
that.
three.
You
What
definitely want
subject you want to talk about?
Awesome. Is there any amazing? I know we've got 1 minute, so there's just one question I'm going to ask you that I just saw from the chat there, and I have no doubt that this is going to be actually a very, very hard question for you to answer.
Ooh.
What was your biggest aha moment around molecular hydrogen?
Yeah, so how do I say this quickly, I guess. So you guys kind of have my background a little bit. I played basically professional football. Football was my background. I went to college for corporate fitness, and then I ended up trying to make it to the NFL. And I basically was right there. And then hydrogen invaded my story. And so to give you just a brief understanding of how I got to the aha moment about H2. Basically, my wife's cousin started to introduce me to alkaline ionized water, and I paid him no mind because he was basically saying water could give you wings. And I was like, no, I never heard about that in college. So I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. He was just saying how wonderful. I mean, all these crazy effects. And so I wrote it off, and then it got brought up again a couple months later. And so I have a very inquisitive mind. And so I really like to learn, especially things that I'm interested in. I can go really, really deep in my learning. So I tried to figure it out, and I couldn't get to the bottom of it at all. I couldn't get to the bottom of it. 'Cause all the stuff I was finding online were just all like contradictory and seemed like marketing fluff and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I prayed about it. I'm a Christian. I prayed about it, and then I kid you not, 2 weeks later, I ran into a gentleman who was talking about the science of water ionizers online. And so basically, I asked him a question about these water ionizers that produce alkaline ionized water. And I said, hey, like, what's going on with the chemistry? Blah, 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 blah. And he said, hey, man, it's basic high school chemistry. This is water electrolysis or redox reactions, right? You're basically reducing hydrogen ions at the cathode to make hydrogen gas, and this is getting into the drinking water. And so he said hydrogen gas is the key. So, okay. So then I started looking up disease models and just molecular hydrogen PubMed. And I started reading them. And I started reading medical articles before I knew I read hundreds of medical articles. And I was utterly convinced that molecular hydrogen was a diamond in the rough that no one knew about. And this was over a decade ago. And so I started telling everybody, scream from the rooftops, everything. Yeah, hydrogen, hydrogen. It's the key, everybody. You got to get on hydrogen. And I'm teaching, I'm telling my teammates, I'm talking to everybody about it. And that was my aha moment. Like, there's something incredible about this. And it wasn't just that it was one paper, it was multiple papers on multiple different diseases, and talking like I didn't find one that was like ineffective. And still today, of my database, I probably have a database of about 1,700 scientific studies. I probably have about 10 papers that are basically ineffective. So I have like basically for my database and what almost hydrogen research almost has a 97% success rate in the articles. That's remarkable. So I was like, I gotta tell everyone. And from that day on, yeah, I started teaching about H2. And I had the biggest opportunity in my life to make it to the NFL. And I really thought I was gonna be an NFL player. And I didn't get brought into a camp that year, but everything started going like this for me with H2. Before I knew it, I had a company that wanted to hire me in Florida, and they were like, dude, you're amazing at hydrogen. Can you be our lead educator for H2? And that's before, I mean, and that's how we got here today. Basically, all you wrote, I basically continue to do what I'm doing today. 7 months later, I had opportunities to own my own hydrogen company with a group of investors. And after that, I've been doing my own thing ever since.
Amazing. Wow, what an incredible story. And and we're so happy that you had that aha moment and you're able to bring this incredible resource to the whole world. I know that's part of the vision and mission of, I think, everyone that's really passionate about molecular hydrogen is sharing it with the world and sharing the truth with the world and sharing all the studies and everything that it is, because it really is something really quite phenomenal. And we're so grateful to have had you for a whole hour with our beautiful community. I know that they would love to have you back, so maybe we can get that to happen as well. But thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time, but also just thank you so much for the gift that you're giving in terms of education to the world and how beautifully you presented as well. That was the running theme throughout the chat group. There was like, it was just so clear and so easy for them to understand. And as you can see here, sensational information tonight.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys could like appreciate the information that I put out there for you guys. I would love to come back and be able to teach on a different subject around H2. Like I said, there's a lot of different things that I could talk about when it comes to molecular hydrogen, hydrogen therapy, just even the fundamental principles of like how this all works with hydrogen gas being able to dissolve in the water, being the smallest molecule. Like for example, I'll do one more I'll do one more and then I have to go. But this is something I did in some presentations and even in a video. So some of you might have seen it, but maybe most of you might not. But a way to wrap around your head just how small hydrogen is that I want every single one of you, if you can, to grab a piece of hair. To grab a piece of hair right off your head. Just take a piece of hair. Just pluck a piece of hair off your head. And then once you get that piece of hair, I want you to hold it vertical and then hold it up to the light so that you can see it. And when you can see the actual width of this of the width of a strand of hair, you can fit approximately 3 million hydrogen molecules across the width of a single strand of hair. That's how small molecular hydrogen. So when I'm talking about it's small, I'm talking about it's small. It's about 10 times smaller than DNA. So it is tiny, 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 tiny. So this is why it gets through all those barriers. So I hope that's impressive. It leaves you guys with a good little fun thing you guys can do with your friends, your neighbors, anybody.
Amazing. Thank you. I love that mic drop moment.
No problem.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, we look forward to having you back soon. Thank you.
Thank you. See you
Bye-bye.
guys later.
Bye.
Bye.